So what I want to do is just walk you through really quickly the solutions that are out there. These are all out-of-the-box ESRI solutions that are available to you today. And all of these solutions address that common issue of we need to modernize the way we collect information, we view information and analyze it, and make decisions with it. So on our solutions website here, I can scroll through and just show you some of the examples of the solutions that are out there. You know, fire hydrant inspections. Do we go out in the field with paper and write down our inspections, or do we want to go out with an iPad or a phone and collect that hydrant information, track the inspection history, know who inspected it, what the issues were, is it operable or not, and then share that information to all of our firefighters so when they roll up on the scene, they know automatically where all the hydrants are and whether they're operable, right? So these are just an example of some of the solutions out there. And again, these are out of the box. Consider this, you know, I'm a terrible artist, right? If you give me a blank piece of paper and tell me to draw something, it's going to look like a third grader did it. But these solutions, these are like paint by number. You just bring your data to them, and it looks great when you're done with it, right? You can say, hey, look at my fire inspection app. It runs on our iPads, we collect it, and on the back end, we got this dashboard showing us live in the field where my people are and how many operable hydrants we have, right? So these apps are designed to really help you get up and running quickly, modernize those paper-based workflows that you have. So just scrolling through, you can see some of the examples like naloxone. Anyone here have an opioid issue in their jurisdiction, right? Just about everybody across the country is dealing with this, but how do we track how much naloxone we're using, right? That's expensive to buy. I need to know how much we're using. I need to track that information, not only just for budget reasons, but to help see where the trends are. Where can I deploy? What units should I give more naloxone that are responding to more overdoses? So these are just a couple examples of all that. Again, all these templates are free to download, free to use for you. They're part of ArcGIS, okay? Biggest thing to know there. So one of the ones that I just want to show you, and Mike may talk about this later in his talk, is the target hazard analysis. So when you're responding to a call comes in for a fire at a particular address, what do you know about that location? What this tool allows you to do is take your existing parcel data that your assessors are out in the field gathering information on building height, assessed value, and allows you to score all your parcels based on different criteria. So what's important? A single-story building with like a convenience store or something is a lot lower priority than a 3-level building that might be a nursing home, and I have to physically move people out of. So when I get a call to that structure, if I know exactly what it is, if I know the risk associated with a fire at that building, I can respond, I can send more resources. So this target hazard analysis template allows you to run that analysis across your whole jurisdiction and, again, iterate through. So, hey, we build more parcels, we build out more buildings. I can run this analysis repeatedly. I can change the values based on updates that the assessor provides me, and really help me score all these parcels and know how to respond. Another big thing that I see a lot of is pre-incident planning. Right? This is sometimes a paper-based workflow as well. I just walk into a building, sketch out on a piece of paper the layout, where's my Knox box, where's my control panel, etc. And this template is actually a suite of apps. It's a mobile app to go out and collect all that information in the field, digitize the locations, but it's also a dashboard so I can see how we're doing. What's the status of all these pre-plans? I can assign pre-plans to different units. I can view their status, see it on the map on a dashboard of how many pre-plans are past due. How many do I have unassigned? What are the most recent ones that have been completed? Again, turning all that paper-based data into information that I can use to make decisions to better run our fire department. And the last one here is just an example of the hydrant inspections. So again, another workflow that people might use paper for to write down, but in this one, here's my dashboard. I can go out in the field, collect information, inspect all these hydrants, and I automatically have that information update on this dashboard. So I can go in, click on a hydrant, see is it operable, when the last date of the inspection was, are there any issues with that particular hydrant. Again, putting that information out there, collecting it digitally, and putting it in the hands of the people who need it. So these are all out-of-the-box solutions. You don't have to write a single line of code. You don't need to have huge servers. I mean, these can all be deployed in the cloud. They can all be deployed on your servers. It's up to you how you want to do that. But they're out of the box, ready to go. Just bring your data, and you have a solution. The next thing I want to show you is just talking a little bit about live data. Right? We'll start here, and this is actually data from Oakland, California. This is a dashboard of their CAD and AVL feed. And this is just another example what the chief was talking about earlier of that CAD to CAD integration. You know, there's a million different flavors of CAD systems that everybody has and uses, but at their core, a CAD system in GIS, we just need your XY coordinate, right? That's universal to GIS. It doesn't matter what flavor of system you have or what database you're built off of, GIS can pull all that information together. If I have one CAD system in one county and another CAD system in a different county, I'm still collecting the XY location. GIS doesn't care what your backend is, just give us the location and we can create something like this. So this is a live dashboard. We can actually zoom in and look at a few of these calls. And as we zoom in, you get some very just basic information. I see where all the engines are. I see the type of call. We have information about the latest calls as they're coming in, so I can click on any call. It automatically zooms, shows me there's a traffic incident here. Now, the nice thing about this, since this is GIS, it's not just CAD information. If I have a traffic-related issue here, I can go in and turn on my live traffic feed, and I see, oh yeah, this area is red. There's a traffic incident right here on this road. I'm not familiar with my Oakland geography, but again, I can see the traffic flow around that incident. That's valuable information when you're responding to a call. Maybe I want to add in information from Waze. Right? Anybody use the Waze app? Report road closures or traffic jams? That's another layer that we can add to the dashboard to give you that real-time information on how to respond and view these incidents. One thing I actually just brought up, once my internet wakes up here, when the chief was mentioning earlier is that CAD to CAD integration. I pulled up this dashboard. Let me refresh here. This is a dashboard showing the capital region, so around DC. And what it is this is the AVL units of multiple jurisdictions. So this is Town of Alexandria and Fairfax County. They have different CAD vendors, different systems, but they have one common view of all their AVL data. So as I zoom in, I can see all of their units as they respond. So here's EMS, etc., across jurisdictions. Right? And they're working to bring in Maryland counties, so PG County across the line. They're actually going to work on an integration. But GIS is the engine behind all of this. That's really the goal, is to use GIS to be the integrator of all those CAD systems. The next thing I want to show you is sort of taking a step back from that live view and looking at more, we call this the chief's dashboard. It's looking at your calls for service. In this case, we're looking back at 2 weeks of data. This is San Diego. And as a chief, I want to be able to keep track of all the trends going on in our agency. So what this dashboard's showing me is I have all my calls broken down by call type. And then along the bottom, I have all of my key indicators that I care about, that I need to measure. What's my average dispatch time, turnout time, response time? These are all things that I need to track and manage. We can also break that down by station. So what's my average response time by station? So if I have a particular station with a high response time, I can click on this, it filters the map, and shows me just the calls for that particular station. And now I can look at all the calls. These are the top 10 calls for that station with the longest response times. So now I can begin to go, okay, there's level 1, we have a traffic accident here. It took over 1,000 seconds to respond to that. So now I can begin asking questions. What's going on here? We've detected a problem. We see it visually. We can begin to drill into the details and understand what's going on. So another couple variables here, turnout time by station. So if we're seeing high response times, is that because it's just taking them a long time to get out of the station? So I can look at over 90 seconds here for this particular station. Zoom out. There we go, up in the northeast. And I can see all the locations of the calls for that particular station. I can also track trends. So what we're looking at here is over the last 2 weeks, we're seeing the number of calls that we received. And then we're looking back the previous year for that same time frame and looking at the number of calls we had. So overall, we're down 8% across the jurisdiction. But I can filter that too. So if I want to look at maybe just all my level 1 and my level 2 fires, I can filter the map. It turns on and shows me, again, my percentage is updated. All my charts are updated by response time. I can see different values. Again, my top 10 calls are all my level 1 and level 2 fire. So this is a really easy way to put information in the hands of your chief to be able to understand the trends that are going on in the department. And the last thing I want to show you today is looking at more long-term analysis. What we're showing here is our Insights product. And what this is, it's a web-based product that allows you to do analysis. A lot of time, if you're familiar with GIS and you've used GIS a lot, you may have done a lot of analysis work in desktop GIS. That's a common thing across the years. But the evolution of the web technologies really allowed us to tap into that desktop power and processing and make it available via a web client. So what I'd like to do here is just look at San Diego. This is showing all the fire stations in San Diego. We have a 4-minute drive time around all those stations. And what I'd like to do is we want to build a new station. And if I'm going to go ask for a few $1 million to build a new station, I better be able to back it up with data. I can't just say, well, I have a hunch, or this looks like a good area. I have to prove that to my city or county council or whoever to get that funding. So what I'm going to do is just drag the location of a proposed station. Say we found a property in this area and we want to go in and see, hey, if we were to build a new station here, what would be the call volume? What are some of the demographics of this area? How I guess, successful or viable is this as a location for a new station? So I've added in the station, and what I'd like to do is just go in here and run some analysis. So within Insights, I'm going to choose our proposed station, and I'm just going to do a drive time buffer. So I'm going to say, let's do a 4-minute drive time around this station. Now this used to be something back in the days of desktop where you're going to have to go find street data, create a routing network, run this in desktop, probably call your GIS folks and say, hey, come in here, I need you to run this, right? With Insights, all that processing, all that knowledge of creating that is stored in the cloud. So all I need to do is really just give a location and say, run the drive time for me. And what this does is it takes that location, sends it up to ArcGIS Online, sends it to a drive time service, which uses the underlying street data. So I take our speed, the posted speed limit of the street, and then it's going to travel from this particular point out along the entire street network until it gets to 4 minutes, and it's going to put that together into a drive time polygon for us, just like you see with all the other stations here. So you can see the faster that the street is, the longer your tentacles go out from that particular station. So just to clean this up, I'm going to make this a little more transparent here. So this is our 4-minute drive time around that station. Now I want to begin to look at what type of calls would we normally get within this proposed area. So I have my calls for service data. I'm just going to go and drag that onto the map as a new layer. Now this is over 120,000 calls that were received throughout the year, and obviously it's a big mess of points, right? It's a whole ton of data. I'd like to really thin this out. I only want to see the calls that are within 4 minutes of this proposed station. So I can just select my drive time and say I'm going to run a filter. So I'm going to filter our calls for service by that drive time and just hit run. So instead of seeing all 120,000 points, now I just get the points that are within that 4-minute drive time. This is really the information that I'm interested in to see what sort of calls are occurring around this area. So I see the points. I can change their symbology. If I want to view them by, maybe I just want to see a heat map of these calls. So now I see where the hot spots are around just that selected area. So now that I've filtered out the calls, I can go in and say, you know what are the call types? So I can just drag the call types and say, I want to do a simple column chart. So within 4 minutes of that station, these are the types of calls that we're seeing the most. Right? Level 1 medical by far is the most prevalent one. And I can link these two. So the map and the chart, I can link them together so that when I click on level 1 medical, it's going to filter the map and show me just the level 1 medical hotspots around that station. And I can do the same thing for traffic accidents or level 2 fires, etc. The map will automatically update and show me this information. The other thing that I can do with that data is look at time of day. So when we have calls come in, what is the day of the week and the hour of the day that we normally get calls? I can create a heat chart to show me, for staffing reasons, what are the times of day that I'm going to see the most calls? Looking at this station, this is mainly a 9 to 5 kind of station. I can see the darker colors represent more calls. So from a staffing perspective, I can see that, hey, from somewhere around 8 a.m. to about 6 p.m., that's when I'm getting the most calls for this area. And that's going to help me determine how I staff. What days is it more weekends or is it weekdays? This one's pretty busy throughout the week, even on Sundays. This actual area is near the Chargers, I guess the team formerly known as the San Diego Chargers Stadium. So you can see 3 to 6 p.m. we have a large number of calls, probably related to games, home games. So just another thing that I want to look at. And now that I've kind of done all the data analysis, I see what type of calls we're receiving, what time of day, what day of the week. I'd also like to know a little bit more about the people that live in this area. So one thing we can do within Insights is what we call enrichment. So I have my drive time polygon, and what I want to do is how many people live within this area? What is the age breakdown? What are the how many people have a smartphone? How many people don't have cars? Are there more single-family homes? Are there more rental homes, etc.? So within Insights, you can access a whole host of variables that ESRI provides for you. These are all included in the platform. So simple things like population. What's the total population? I'll take that. What's the population estimate in 5 years? Is this a high growth area? I might want to know that as I'm planning out this station. I can do, so maybe I want to know people aged 65 and older. So I can select age increments. So let's do, let's go back here. So all these variables here are maintained by ESRI. So this is 2017, and probably within another month or two, we're going to put out 2018 data. So this is something that we maintain for you. You have constant access to. So I have 3 variables here. I have total population 2017, what the estimate is for 2022, and then how many people are 65 and older. And again, depending on what I'm interested in, I can go down the list. There's literally hundreds of variables in here to analyze. So I'm just going to hit run, and what this will do is look within that drive time polygon, enrich it, add those variables to my data. So now when I go to the data table, I see here's my drive time polygon. Scroll over to the right here, and I can see What's my total population? 12,000, if that's a stretch for you. Let me zoom in. So there's my total population 2017, 2022, and then how many seniors do we have? So out of 12,000 people, I have about 10% of the people in this area that are age 65 or older. So that's important for me to know when preparing to present this information to those who I'm trying to justify a station with. All right, so that's just a real quick overview of some of the tools that are available out of the box. Again, these are all part of ArcGIS. We don't just give you a blank map. We give you data. We give you templates that you can plug and play with your data to begin going out and modernizing your fire department.